David was 4 days into his 2-week camping and hiking vacation. He had started doing it 6 years back, and it had turned into a personal tradition for himself. He looked forward to it every year as a means of escape from the busy hustle and bustle of everyday life and his tedious job. This year he had decided to hike the northwestern corner of his home state of Connecticut. He had started in North Cannon and made his way southwest along Route 44, where he picked up the Appalachian Trailhead, which was near the town of Salisbury. He used the trail to make his way west and then slightly back north with the end goal of camping on a remote destination called Bear Mountain, which was in the very northwestern corner of the state. He estimated he would make the base of the low mountain after another day's hike. His plans were to ascend the mountain and spend the rest of his time hiking and camping on and around it. It was on this 4th day, near dusk, that he chose to head off trail and camp at the top of a rocky bluff where he could get a good view of the surrounding area. He set up his small camp, had a quick dinner, then decided to climb a bit higher up onto a rock feature to have a good look around. The sun was just sinking down behind him and the surrounding valley was growing dark. As he was peering out to the northeast, he thought he just caught the reflection of some object, perhaps catching the last light of the setting sun. He got out his binoculars and tried to focus in on the area of where he had seen it. Nothing. It was too dark to make out any detail. What had he seen? He thought about that direction. As far as he knew, and from the map, there should be nothing but dense forest out that way for at least 20 miles or so. He decided to change his game plan, and at first light, he would hike out and investigate. After all, adventure and exploration was what this hike was all about. Next morning, he was packed and heading in the direction he saw the object. He used his GPS and compass to hold a straight line as best he could. There were few things in nature that would reflect the sun, so he was very interested in what he might find. He was hoping, at best, he had seen the glass of an old hunting cabin. Might make for some interesting photos, he thought. He pondered this as he made his way. About 3 hours later, he stopped to have a light lunch. He looked at his map while he ate and marked his position that the GPS showed. 3 hours on moderate terrain with moderate changes in elevation meant he had traveled roughly 8 miles. The GPS confirmed this based on his campsite last night. He wondered at this point if he had passed the object he was seeking. Worst case was he would just trek back north and then turn west to run directly into the base of Bear Mountain. He decided to go another hour, a few more miles, before giving up on the find. It was about 20 minutes later, he noticed his surroundings had changed. It was very subtle at first, but after he was aware of it, he could not get away from it. The forest had grown unusually quiet and still. Not that it was unusual for creatures to get quiet when a loud human is walking about, but this was different. It was uncomfortable, unnatural. He stood and listened. He decided all at once to let the treasure hunt go and start making his way to his destination, not unaware of his uneasiness in this part of the forest. As he turned to head north, he heard what he thought were wind chimes. A chill ran through his body and his heart sped up a bit. He peered through the dense trees and tried to focus. The sounds of the forest came back, but very low and very much different. All at once, he began to hear the sound of the light wind as it blew through the trees. He heard the call of a crow. He heard, very far away and faint, a dog barking. Most disturbing was a low drone. He didn't know how else to describe it or think about it. Was there some factory near here, he wondered. He had studied the maps and the history of this area, and he was quite certain there was nothing even close to a town or industry for miles. He took a knee and got out his map. Using his flashlight, he checked the map and the GPS, and then double-checked the map again. He was miles away from any town. So what was he hearing? Was that a coyote? A wolf? Were there even wolves in this area? He didn't think so. Coyotes, maybe. He put the map away and tried to straighten himself up. He realized he was sweating and breathing heavily. After several anxious minutes, he continued on towards the sounds.